Basically, it has CNS, central nervous system. This is comprised of brain plus spinal cord. The next is PNS. This is peripheral nervous system. The cranial nerves, spinal nerves, ganglia, and sensory receptor. This is also comprised of central nervous system is comprised of brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system is comprised of cranial nerves, spinal nerves. Cranial nerves are all the nerves coming from the brain, spinal nerves from spinal, ganglia, and the sensory receptors. The next is afferent nervous system. It carries information to CNS, and this is efferent nervous system. And it carries to the effector organs, muscles, and glands. Somatic nervous system. Somatic, it's again afferent nervous system is divided into afferent nervous system carries the information to the central nervous system, and from central nervous system it again carries the information to the afferent nervous system. Efferent means the afferent nervous system means like if we touch any hot thing, then this immediately the information is passed to the nervous system that this is hot, and then the nervous system again the pass the information to the hand too that this hand should be moved out. Then this is known as efferent nervous system. इसको कहते हैं efferent nervous system. अब नेक्स्ट आता है सोमैटिक नर्वस सिस्टम. इसको कहते हैं मोटर न्यूरॉन. ये क्या करता, मोटर न्यूरॉन का मतलब ही हो गया ये वॉलेंटरी एक्शन दिखाता. इट सप्लाई थ्रू द स्केलेटल muscles. Next is ANS, fibers. It's innervate, smooth muscles, cardiac muscle, and glands. नेक्स्ट है This is somatic and this is autonomic nervous system. ऑटोनॉमिक नर्वस सिस्टम का मतलब हुआ क्या कि जो हमारे वॉलेंटरी एक्शन में नहीं है, हार्ट, डाइजेस्टिव सिस्टम, रेस्पिरेटरी सिस्टम. नाउ द हिस्टोलॉजी ऑफ नर्वस सिस्टम. This is neurons, nerve cells, and this is neuroglia, glial cells. These are specialized cells to respond to physical and chemical stimuli. And from glial cells comes from the word glue, supports, nourishes, and protects the neuron. तो तीसरा होता है न्यूरॉन्स. हिस्टोलॉजी ऑफ नर्वस टिश्यूज. तो सबसे पहला होता है न्यूरॉन्स, that is nerve cells. We know this is the specialized. The next is neuroglia. Glia word is derived from the word, this is known as glue. Glue का मतलब होता है चिपकना. And it क्या करता है? It supports, it nourishes and protects the neuron. The parts of neuron. The next is the parts of neuron. These are dendrites. This is the point is known as axon hillock. It is very important because this is the point where the action potential is started. This is the cell body. This is the axon. This is the node of Renwier. This is myelin sheath. And these are the terminals. Now coming to the axon part. This vary in length from millimeter to meter. Contains It contains mitochondria, microtubules, neurofibrils. There is no rough endoplasmic reticulum proteins, means no protein synthesized. Because we know that the protein synthesis takes place in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Next is the exoplasm. The exoplasm surrounded by exolemma sheath. The cell body. Coming to the cell body, is also known as perikaryon. Contains nucleus surrounded by cytoplasm that contains lysosomes, mitochondria, and Golgi complex. Nissel bodies. Free ribosomes and prominent clusters of what are nissel bodies? Prominent clusters of RER called nissel bodies. Next is ganglia. Cell bodies in PNS occur in clusters. जब सेल बॉडी क्लस्टर्स के फॉर्म में होता है तो उसको कहते हैं गैंग्लिया. नर्व फाइबर. Any neuronal process or extension that emerges from cell body of neuron called axon terminals. So we have studied all the part that these are the cell bodies, nasal bodies, ganglia and nerve fibers. Now we'll next study the classification of neurons. These are functional classification. Means the direction, they are classified on the basis of direction in which they conduct impulse. One is efferent and is also known as sensory. It carries impulse. Peripheral sense receptor CNS have long dendrites and relative short axons. These are sensory. This is the cell body and this connects the synapse in this way. Next is efferent or motor. It carries impulse from CNS. Effector organ, muscles, glands, short dendrites, and long axons. So this is the direction of impulse. And this is the motor neuron. The next is interneurons. is located entirely within CNS. Means it between the efferent and efferent. Connecting, it's a connecting link. These are short dendrites and either short or long axons. 99% of all neurons is known as interneuron. So basically, so basically, there is three types of the neurons coming to the point, and we will study one by one. This is the efferent or the sensory neuron. It carries the impulse peripherals receptors and to the CNS. They have a very long dendrites and relatively short axons. They are known as the sensory receptor. The next one is efferent or the motor neurons, and these are the impulse from the CNS, and they are very effector organs. They are like effector organs are basically the muscles, gland, and they are the short dendrites and the long axons. They are basically short dendrites and long axons. The next is interneuron. Interneuron, the name is also is self-explanatory that it's a connecting link between the efferent and the efferent neurons, and this is located entirely with the central nervous system. And these are basically with the short dendrites and either with the short or the long axons. The 99% of all the neurons in the body is made of the interneurons. The next is till now this was all on the basis of their functional classification and the way the direction of the conduction of the nerve impulse. Okay, now we will study with the structural classification. By the number of process extending. These are multipolar neurons. And one axon, brain and spinal. जो पहला नंबर है, these are known as the multipolar neurons. Multipolar neurons का नाम से ही पता चल रहा है that this is it has several dendrites and there is only one axon. This is known as the multipolar neurons, and it is present in the brains, in the spinal cord. The next is bipolar. This is one main dendrite and one axon. मतलब एक मेन डेंड्राइट होता है और एक ही एक्सॉन होता है. इसके कहाँ प्रेजेंट होते हैं? ये रेटिना. द बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल इज द रेटिना और ये बहुत क्वेश्चंस में पूछा गया है. इनर ईयर, olfactory area of brain, the next is unipolar. These are sensory neurons that begin in embryo as bipolar and when they are during the course of the development they fuse. तो यहाँ पे तीन तरह से सबसे पहले मल्टीपोलर न्यूरॉन. ये सेवरल डेंड्राइट्स और एक एक्सॉन्स होते हैं और ये ब्रेन और स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में पाए जाते हैं. दूसरा है बाइपोलर एंड दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज द रेटिना. दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वन मेन एक्सॉन एंड वन मेन डेंड्राइट. तीसरा है यूनिपोलर मतलब एक ही डेंड. these are sensory neurons that begins in the embryo. वो क्या होता है कि एम्ब्रियो में एज ए बाइपोलर होते हैं लेकिन जैसे जैसे डेवलपमेंट होता है एम्ब्रियो का ये फ्यूज हो जाते हैं और यूनिपोलर बन जाते हैं. Now is the we'll study about the neuroglia. That what are the neuroglia? We have already said neuroglia is the word derived from the glia glue and basically it nourishes, protects and supports the nerve cells. Or glia. This is basically the half of the volume of central nervous system. It don't propagate, it don't generate action potential. जैसे नॉर्मल नर्व फाइबर्स जो होती है वो क्या करती हैं कि एक्शन पोटेंशियल जनरेट करती है और उसको प्रोपागेट करती है. प्रोपागेट का मतलब होता है कि उसको आगे बढ़ाती है, ट्रैवल करवाती है. ठीक है. These can multiply and divide in mature nervous system. Injury. During injury, disease, multiply to fill in spaces formerly occupied by neuron. बेसिकली तो ये क्या होता है कि ये जनरेट नहीं करती, ये मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हैं एंड डिवाइड इन मैच्योर नर्वस सिस्टम. These are basically with the injury, injury होता है, diseases, neuroglial cells, and multiply to fill in the spaces formerly occupied by the neuron. ठीक है. 6 types of neuroglial cells होते हैं. These are, जो सबसे बड़ा है, these are known as astrocytes. This is the largest and most numerous. The next one is oligodendrites, oligodendrocytes. 3. Microglia. 4. Ependymal cells. These are present in the central nervous system. The next is, fifth is Schwann cells. And the sixth is satellite cells. And this is known as PNS. One by one we will deal with the rest. Oligodendrocytes. Form myelin sheath around axons of CNS. Microglia. Migrate through CNS and phagocytose foreign material. तो ओलिगोडेंड्रोसाइट्स का क्या काम है? ये बेसिकली क्या करता है, माइलिन शीथ, जो एक्सॉन के ऊपर में जो माइलिन शीथ होता है उसको ये बनाता है, तो इसको कहते हैं ओलिगोडेंड्रोसाइट. माइक्रोग्लिया क्या करता है, बेसिकली क्या करता है, ये फैगोसिटाइज करता है जो भी फॉरेन मटेरियल ब्रेन में होते हैं. आई माइग्रेट थ्रू द सीएन, ये पूरे सीएनएस के थ्रू में ये माइग्रेट करता रहता है. थर्ड इज एस्ट्रोसाइट्स. एस्ट्रो का मतलब क्या होता है, स्टार शेप्ड. रेगुलेट द एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट of neurons in CNS. ये क्या करता है, एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट ऑफ न्यूरॉन को रेगुलेट करता है. फोर्थ इज एपेंडाइमल सेल्स. लिव इन, इट्स लाइन द वेंट्रिकल्स ऑफ द ब्रेन. जो ब्रेन में वेंट्रिकल्स होते हैं 1 2 3 4, उसको इसके उसके वेंट्रिकल्स को लाइन करता है. The next is Schwann cells. हमने पहले ही पढ़ा था, ये पेरिफेरल नर्वस सिस्टम का पार्ट है. फॉर्म myelin sheath. इसको स्फिंगोमाइलिन भी कहते हैं. Fifth is satellite cells. और ganglionic gliocytes support cell bodies of neuron within ganglia of PNS. तो these are the basically the types of the cells. ये क्या करता है, cells को satellite cells और ganglionic gliocytes क्या करता है, cell bodies को support करता है within the ganglia of the peripheral nervous system. Then what are the myelin sheath? Is provide the insulation of axon, increase the speed of nerve impulse. These are basically made of two parts. Schwann cells, this is known as the PNS, and oligodendrocytes. So temperature is directly proportional to the speed. Axon diameter to speed. Myelin sheath present only in vertebrates. So, with the coming with the myelin sheath, we will discuss what are the functions and how this the myelin sheath is responsible for the conduction velocity of that. So we will know that this is made of the two, basically the two sorts of cells, the Schwann cells, and this is the oligodendrocytes. The insulation of the first is the insulation of the axons. The next is the increases the speed of the nerve impulse, and the temperature is directly proportional to the speed. Axon diameter is directly proportional to the speed, and myelin sheath present only in the vertebrates. Okay, so it's dependent upon the axon diameter and the temperature. The next one is what are the meninges? What are meninges? So we will next discuss the meninges. Meninges are basically the covering and they are present in the spinal cord and brain, and it is comprised of three connective tissue. Okay, three connective tissue coverings that encircles the spinal cord and brain. These are the first is the dura mater. This is dense, irregular, connective tissue. The second is the arachnoid matter. This is known as spider web. This is arrangement of collagen fiber. And this is the pia matter. This is thin, transparent connective tissue. So basically we have the meninges, and these are the three connective tissues covering the encircles the spinal cord and the brain. And the first one is the dura mater. The second one is the arachnoid matter. Arachnoid matter means they are like spider web. And the third one is the thin transparent. Is the pia matter, arachnoid matter, pia matter, and dura matter. The next is the gray and the white matter. white matter. Gray matter is basically present in the neuronal cell bodies. The cell bodies basically impart gray color. This is basically the gray matter. And outside it's white, and this is known as spinal cord. The next one is, this is primarily of myelinated axons. It's the whitish color of myelin. This is white and this is the gray matter. तो यहाँ हम देखेंगे कि जो ग्रे एंड व्हाइट का डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है that is entirely different upon the two cell types. So this is in the neuronal cell bodies, what happens, like when we will see in the neuronal cell bodies, these are basically due to the niche cell body, they impart the gray color. Okay, the gray color is basically because of the niche cell bodies, and this is present in the spinal cord. The inner side is the gray matter and the outside is white matter. This the white matter is basically present in the myelinated axons. This is a whitish color of the myelin, that is sphingomyelin. Here the outside is the gray matter and the inside is the brain, and this is present in the basically in the brain.